What about second breakfast?
Don't think he knows about second breakfast, Pip.
Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of digital fate. I'm Richie, this is Capricorn. I just got finished with early access for Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth. Big shout out to Wizards of the Coast for inviting me to be a part of that. And I have an absolutely insane deck I want to talk to you guys about. But before we get to that, I want to shout out my patrons over at patreon.com/quarantinecapricorn. That's Brittany, Bob Steele, Yuck Foozy, Noah Vincent, and then especially our CPU savior, Terrence Rohrbach. Thank you guys so much for supporting me on Patreon. It means a lot. This deck is called Second Breakfast, and the idea is to utilize food token strategies and then bring it way over the top with Jinnie Fay. But what really makes this deck special is there's an insane combo that lets us generate 28 treasure tokens in one turn with just a 2-card combo that's really simple to pull off. And if we have a Jinnie Fay in play, we actually get 28 creature tokens instead and can just win outright. And it's wild. Before we get to the deck, make sure you like the video, subscribe, let me know about down below in the comments what you think of it. All that stuff really helps the channel so much. It helps the video get out to more people. So make sure you make that happen. Also, catch me live streaming on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/quarantinecapricorn, because if I'm alive and I'm breathing, I'm there and I'm streaming. Now let's check out the deck. Okay, this deck is absolutely insane. I can't believe the amount of work it put in. It doesn't look at first like it's going to be as crazy as it is, but it absolutely just goes nuts. So there's also a combo in this deck that we're going to get to at the end of it, where with just 2 cards, without any hoops to jump through, if you line them up correctly, you just get 28 treasures. It's kind of absurd. We'll get to that. We're going to start with the core of the deck being Jinnie Fay. This is a card that came out in New Capenna. This is not a Lord of the Rings card, but almost everything else in the deck is a Lord of the Rings card. So Jinnie's going to make it so that whenever we have a token come into play on our turn, or any turn really, we get to have it come into play as a 2/2 cat with haste or a 3/1 dog with vigilance. That's super important to note because everything in this deck is going to make crazy amounts of tokens. So let's start at the bottom of the curve. We've got 4 Gala Greeters because we're going to make a tapped treasure token every single time we play a creature. Well, once per turn, but regardless. It even triggers if we play Jinnie Fay on turn 3 after a turn 2 Gala Greeters. We make that treasure token, and then it turns into a dog or a cat, and then that cat triggers the Gala Greeters again, and it gets absolutely absurd. You will see in the games. But what we can add on top of this sort of core with all of the new Lord of the Rings cards just pushes it way over the top. So first of all, we have 2 Meriadoc Brandybuck, 2/2 legendary creature for 2. Whenever any halflings attack a player, you create a food token. So those food tokens will come into play as creatures if you have a Jinnie Fay down, or as food if you don't, and there's ways to get value off of either. Obviously, if we're pooping out creatures left and right because of all the food tokens, that's going to be great. But even if we don't have Jinnie Fay and we're just making food, there's tons of ways in this deck to also take advantage of that food almost as a plan B. And that brings me to Mushroom Watchdogs. This is a 2/2 for 2. It's a dog. You can sacrifice a food to put a +1/+1 counter on it and give it vigilance until end of turn. You can only activate this as a sorcery, but you can do it as many times as you want in a turn. So if you just poop out a bunch of foods, you can just sack a bunch of foods, make this thing a huge vigilance creature, swing in, gets nutty. We've also got 2 Samwise Gamgee, and this is a really good card in the deck. A 2/2 for 2 mana in Selesnya. Legendary Halfling Peasant. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, you create a food. So every ETB for a non-token creature is going to give you a food. And then you can sacrifice 3 foods to return target historic card from your graveyard to your hand. There are a ton of legendary creatures in this deck. You can just bring them all back with Samwise by sacrificing 3 foods for each of them. and it gets out of this world. And that's especially good with the Jinnie Fae, because Jinnie Fae is going to have a huge target on her back. As soon as she comes down, our opponent's going to try to remove her right away because of all the value we can get off of her. And then we just, you know, sacrifice our foods that we're making instead of dogs or cats, since Jinnie Fae is no longer on the battlefield. And when we get to 3, we bring Jinnie back. We start the cycle all over again. Eventually, they don't have enough removal. We get Jinnie to stick, and then we just go off. It's kind of nutty. Moving on to our 3-drop slot, we've got 2 Rosie Cotton of South Lane. This is a 1/1 legendary halfling peasant for 1 white and 2. When she enters, you'll make a food token right off the bat. And if Samwise is down, you'll get one from him as well. It's just crazy. Whenever you create any token, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control other than Rosie. We're making tokens left and right. So this is just going to be shooting 1/1 counters all over the place wherever we need to. If we've got a Meriadoc Brandybuck down and we want to swing with a halfling, we can put a bunch of counters on that, just enough so that it's safe to swing with it, that sort of thing. It's kind of wild. We've got 4 copies of Fable of the Mirror Breaker for obvious reasons. It makes a token that when it attacks makes more tokens. And then we get to cycle cards out on Chapter 2. And then Chapter 3, we get to flip into Reflection of Kiki-Jiki and copy things that will make more tokens. Obviously, this card's nuts. That's why it was banned in Standard. So we absolutely play this. We've got 2 Peregrin Took, 1 green and 2 for a 2/3 legendary halfling citizen. If one or more tokens will be created under your control, those tokens plus an additional food token are created instead. So every time you make a token, you get another token, and you can sacrifice 3 foods to draw a card. So this is another way to get value off of our foods if Jinnie Fae isn't on the battlefield. We can just make a whole bunch of foods, sack them, draw a bunch of cards, and get to another Jinnie Fae. We've also got 4 Stew the Coneys, which is a 3-mana instant. It's a bite spell, so we're gonna deal damage to target creature equal to the power of another target creature we control. But we also make a food token. And normally a card like this would be too expensive to be worth it. There's better fight or bite spells for just 2 mana or less. But because we get a food token off this, in this deck in particular, this card is actually nuts. Because that food token is going to do so much. And sometimes that food token's two food tokens, or in some ways 4 food tokens. And sometimes those food tokens are 2 2s or 3 1s. And it gets absurd. So Stew the Coneys, absolutely our removal of choice. And that brings us to Rocco Street Chef. 2/4 legendary elf druid for 3 mana in Naya colors. This is one of the cards that came out in March of the Machine Aftermath. At the beginning of your end step, each player exiles top card of their library. Until your next end step, each player may play the card they exiled this way. So you can play yours, they can play theirs. Whenever a player plays a land from exile or casts a spell from exile, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature and create a food token. So when you play your spell, they play their spell. You're going to get a food each time. And if you have things that are doubling the tokens coming into play, that could be potentially 4 foods. Or in some situations, if you're doubling the double, 8 foods just off of Rocco, not to mention the counters that you get to put on creatures as well. So this card can get absolutely absurd in this deck as well. We've also got Butterbur, Bree Innkeeper. I like to call him Butterbeer because why not? He's a 3/3 legendary human peasant for 4 mana in Selesnya. At the beginning of your end step, if you don't control a food, create a food token. He's a good recursive way to keep making food tokens. Sometimes you can just keep eating the food and gaining a bunch of life in order to race the opponent, and they just can't outrace you because of all the life gain. But usually what we want to do is if we have Butterbur on the field when we have Jinnie Fae down, we're not making foods ever. Every time we make a food, we're making a creature. So we never actually have foods on the field, and therefore at the end of turn, this will always trigger, always make a food, and then that food can just come into play as a creature. So it's a 3/3 for 4 that gives us a 3/1 every turn, basically, which is kind of insane. And again, because we have so many cards in this deck that synergize with tokens, sometimes that token is 2, sometimes it's 4, it starts to go really off the rails. But that's gonna bring us to the big combo in the deck. So we have Mondrak. Mondrak's gonna come down for 4 mana. It's going to double all of our token generation, which is really, really important because we're already going nuts with tokens, and Mondrak just turns it up to 11. But Mondrak also allows for an insane combo with there and back again. We're just playing 2 of these because the deck is so good even without this combo that it's a little bit win more, but it's still awesome to have on the top end to just seal the deal. So here's the way it works. There and back again comes down for 5 mana. On chapter 1, up to 1 target creature can't block for as long as you control there and back again, and the ring tempts you. So that's good. We can give one of our creatures pseudo unblockable, make one of their creatures not be able to block. We can almost definitely swing in with a creature that way. Chapter 2, search for a mountain, put it onto the battlefield, shuffle. We can find a Jetmir's Garden this way, which is nice. Chapter 3 is where things get really nutty. Create Smaug, a legendary 6/6 red dragon creature token with flying, haste, and when this creature dies, create 14 treasure tokens. So, here's what happens. If we have a Mondrak in play, Chapter 3 triggers, gives us a Smaug token, but then, because of Mondrak, we actually get 2 Smaug tokens. Both Smaug tokens are legendary, so the legendary rule kicks in. We have to sacrifice one of them, which means we immediately get 14 treasure tokens from the one we sacrifice, but then because Mondrak is still in play, all of those treasure tokens double, and we end up getting 28 treasure tokens, which is just absurd. If we had any cards left in our hand at that point, we just vomit everything onto the field. If we have a Jinnie Fae, we get 28 creatures. 28 3/1s or 2/2s with haste, and we just win. It's insane. Absolutely insane. So the deck is nuts. We are running 1 Mines of Moria because we have plenty of legendaries in this deck, and the special ability for this land is pay 4 tap, exile 3 cards from your graveyard to create 2 treasure tokens. Sometimes that can be useful. We're never going to say no to tokens. And the Shire, for a similar reason, pay 2, tap it, tap an untapped creature we control to create a food token. Every now and then those lands are going to be relevant, but mostly we're running dual lands. We're running 4 Forsaken Crossroads because this is an Alchemy deck, and the deck just goes off the rails. I'm not going to hold you up any sooner. You got to see it in action, so let's check out the games. What about second breakfast? We only get second breakfast if Mondrak's in play, because he gives us a second food token. It's beautiful. It's elegant. We can't keep this. This we can keep. Put back a Jinnie. We'll play Meri. Crossroads is going to come into play tapped, which kind of sucks. Do we let Meri die in order to get value? Sure. Let's do it. Black, untap. Boromir. Oop, there's our Mondrak. Do we Fable? No. We Stew the Coneys to kill Boromir. And then we swing for 8. Alright, he loses the Ratadrabic. Take out Jinnie. We have lethal on board. That is not going to be enough, my friend. They go to 2. Ratadrabic. Discard. Discard. Smash. Make 4 treasures. Oh god. Right to the face. This looks good. We'll keep it. Alright, we will go green. Peregrin Took. I mean, seems pretty okay. Gala Greeters. Flowering of the White Tree. No blocks. We'll go red. We will scry. We will keep Jinnie. Play another Gala Greeters. Tap treasure token, swing for 1. Alright, next turn's gonna be kinda wild. No blocks. You okay back there, Bandit? Lay down, buddy. Alright, it's time to get wild. It's time to get wild. All the life ever. No attacks. That was a turn. Ratadrabic, okay. Oh boy. Here we go. Treasure. Treasure. Jesus Christ. Everything's so wild. Look at all these triggers. Alright, so we got 4. because of Peregrin Took. No attacks. Okay, I think we need more Peregrin Tooks. Oh my god. Hey, Argatron. Absolute ridiculousness. Absolute insanity. Dude, this is just, I don't even know what's happening. We're just going off. We're just gonna go with it. Everything's gonna be fine. All more things. It's all good. It's all good. Just make everything. Just make everything. No attacks. We don't want to trigger his Ratadrabic until we just have lethal. And next turn we will have lethal. Kind of absurd, though. You can't even see all the creatures. The two Gala Greeters are off the side to the left. Alright, we make the treasures. Gain all the life. Put all the counters on. Okie dokie. Make another one because of Mary. And I think that's about it. I think that's lethal. New set is kind of absurd. I mean, granted, this is Alchemy, but we've got two 5/5 Gala Greeters off to the left that you can't see behind my face cam. But look at all these dogs. They just went off. Yeah, that'll do it. Opponent goes first, so I will keep this. We've got Mushroom Watchdogs in here just because we can't always expect to get Jinnie Fey. And when we don't get Jinnie Fey, Mushroom Watchdogs is actually really, really good with all the food tokens that this deck makes. So it's kind of a plan B. But it's also a nice 2-drop that like eats up their removal. And we're not as sad to see it go, you know? Bilbo, okay. Guess we'll go Jinnie Fey. Alright, we'll go, white. Don't think it makes sense to untap. So we'll just scry one. Don't need the land. Let's see. We will swing. If he's got a trick, we will respond to the trick with Stew the Coneys. That's the plan. No. There will be none of that, friend. I think we go green. And this time we untap. Because we're going to play Gala Greeters. And then we're going to play Fable. Decline. Treasure token. Oh, I forgot. It comes in tap, so we don't get the haste. But we actually want this Goblin Shaman token because it's going to make treasure tokens every turn, which can be creatures. Let's discard the extra Jinnie Fae and the Brushland. Stew the Coneys, you say. Some of that. We will go like that. Jinnie is dead, but she did her job. And our board is crazy. We have 4 3/1s hiding behind my face. Do we want the treasure token? I don't even think we want the treasure token now. I think we just want maximum damage. I guess we'll take it. It's pretty gross. Alright, we're gonna try to keep this. Let's see what happens. Delighted Halfling. Maybe we should be playing Delighted Halfling in this deck. Thicket, Gala Greeters. Aww. At least he's mostly out of gas. Just need something that can get rid of that golem. And we're pretty safe. Start with Jinnie Fae. See if he's got more removal. Okay, he does. But I mean, all of his stuff's gone now, right? Any white. Guess we just go green. Untap it. Play a Gala Greeters. And we'll play a Meriadoc. Make a treasure. That way we've got 5 mana next turn. We can play Fable and the Watchdogs. We'll take 3. That's fine. It's fine for now. Interesting. Alright, that's your ring bearer. Do we play Peregrin Took? Or do we play Fable? We'll get a treasure and a food. We'll gain some life. Kind of want to hold it back and block Golem. Not lose anything else. No attacks. End the turn. Let's go core, sure. Weird. She's gonna cycle him in and out to up his ring temptingness. Sure. Also sure. Would you... Can't even swing with Ellis. What a weird play. Time to make lots of food. Lots and lots of food. Let's see if he wants Ellis to die. Swing. Swing. Get some more food. He's got to block with Ellis, right? I guess I probably should have sacked 2 foods, right? In case he did that. Well, let's sack 3 foods and draw a card here. Ick. That is not what I wanted at all. We're going to pass the turn. If we don't need to eat the food, we will cycle the garden. But we might need to eat the food. We'll see. We shall see. He's just trying to cycle out Golem over and over with Ellis in play, it seems. Which is, I mean, interesting. But we're gonna make 1,000,000 foods, so I mean, I don't think it's gonna get the job done, you know? $1,000,000 foods. 1,000,000. 1,000,000 billion. Resolve it. Resolve it. Just gonna keep doing it. Basically, every 3 mana he plays, he gains a life and we lose a life. Well, we will absolutely gain the life here, since he's trying to just drain us out completely. Welcome to food. Sure. Sack the foods. Get back Jinnie. Replay Jinnie. And now we go off. Completely and utterly off. Play Mary. End the turn. I think we got lethal next turn. We're up to 10 life. Man, Samwise Gamgee's really good. We use all those foods to just get back Jinnie. Good card is good. Deadly Dispute. No, Meat Hook Massacre! Holy schmoly. There goes our whole life. We are in dire straits, guys. At least we have 2 foods. We can go up to 14 life if we need to. Oh, another land. Whenever you make a food, right? Yeah, whenever you create a token, you put a counter on something. So we can't really risk cracking the foods for the watchdog yet, not unless it's lethal. Gala Greeters is something. So close to stabilizing. Another sweeper. Meat Hook's just way too good, man. That card is so busted. Alright, Justin. Really? Back to square one again. Jinnie Faye. Land. Down to 5. We're hanging on. Good God. Radadrabic. Alright, we need something. We need something, guys. I think he's gonna sack Radadrabic to do the golem thing? No. He can't do that. I mean, with Meat Hook out, he gets 2 pings, right? Oh no, he doesn't have Ellis out, so he'd still only get 1. Stew the Coneys. Hell yeah. Corrupted Conviction, okay. Oh, did we get it? Oh, we got there. Oh my God. What a game. That's 4 in a row. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. I'd like to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons over at Patreon. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your contributions. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe. The more likes we get and the quicker we get them, the bigger this channel will grow and the faster it will grow. I'd love nothing more than this channel to become something very special for you guys, but it's entirely up to you how fast that happens. Also, if you'd like more deck text, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere up that way. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things.